Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Steven Universe, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Michelle Anderer.
Hello.
Justin Cummings.
Bonga Kawa.
And Alex Bonilla.
Hello.
It is the climactic, huge Steven Universe Season 5 finale, Change Your Mind. It just aired, the 1 hour special just aired on Cartoon Network. We literally just watched it. We've seen it once. We'll be reacting to this episode. And boy, what a huge finale, series finale-like episode, but not the actual series finale of Steven Universe that we'll be getting into.
Yes. Important distinction.
Yes, there will be more, and we got the announcement that the movie will be coming in the fall at the end of that, so that's very exciting as well. Yes, there's so much to get into here. We're overlyanimated.com. Find us there. Find us on YouTube at youtube.com/overlyanimated, on iTunes at overlyanimated.com/iTunes, or search for Overly Animated Steven Universe for our Steven Universe feed. I'm sure there will be many podcasts to come on this 1 hour special here, so leave your comments and feedback. Justin might be taking them, and we'll be using them throughout the what I'm sure will be a series of podcasts on these this huge episode here. So spoilers, make sure you've seen Change Your Mind and get right into spoilers here. Let's get reactions from this episode. Michelle, what was your reaction when you just finished watching this?
Oh, it's so satisfying. I feel like it starts off pretty solid and then it just gets so exciting. And the thing that's so gratifying about this, like you're kind of saying, Dylan, it feels finale-esque because so many things we've been waiting for. Like, we've been wanting to know what Lapis and Peridot's new outfits were going to be. We wanted to know what all the gems fusing into the giant temple gem was going to be. Like, so many things paid off. And, like, Jasper even came back. Like, that might be my highlight for the whole thing. And I'm not even kidding. I was so happy to see Jasper. I flipped out majorly, but just, oh man. So, like, everyone was wondering for so many seasons, like, would Steven die? You know, if he got crushed or if his gem was taken out, and now we know the answer. It's just so gratifying to know all these things for real now. And it's such a wave of emotions going through this 4-part episode. So yeah, I'm very high. I'm very satisfied right now. Lots of endorphins, but I think this was a solid run. Like, I'm very happy with this as a finale for the season.
Nice. Justin, what are your reactions right now?
I'm so just, so I'm sitting here on one hand trying to keep track of the number of new fusions we see. I'm trying to keep track of new outfits. I'm trying to keep track of, you know, the important things of the major plot elements. I'm trying to, like, as the resident White Diamond theorist in chief, I'm trying to keep track of, I'm trying to break down white from a scientific perspective of all the color spectrum lingo and how white works and who white is, and trying to understand all that. And then then we got the corrupted gems and the Sadie and the Lars and the Connie and the dead Steven for a hot second. I was choking the entire commercial break after they ripped out Steven's gem. Like, I gasped so hard I started coughing and choking for 5 minutes. Like, it wasn't okay. The point is, I'm really not sure what I just saw, and I'm not okay.
But it was all okay it was all happy.
It was, but, like, it was overwhelming. Like,
overwhelmed. Yeah,
a lot to take in.
Okay, yes.
I'm not whelmed. I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah, we'll try to whelm Justin this podcast. Alex, what are your reactions here?
The first word that comes to mind is flabbergasted. Like, I'm just taken aback by everything that happened in this episode. So many things happened. I second the emotion that it feels like a series finale, in that, like, so many things were finally culminated. The ending showdown in White Diamond's room felt very finale-esque, of like seeing your true self, like, and it's revealed to be what you thought it was, despite people trying to convince you that you're not. And it's all so inspiring. And all the fusions are great. Lapis and Peridot show, like, this is like the one show that I can, like, say, yes, the thing is finally happening. And I did it like 3 different times in this episode. It was 44 minutes, so that's cheating. Like, there's a lot of content to be able to do that. But yeah, just so many things happen, and I feel like a lot of it went really well, like the best it possibly could. I keep saying that like Steven Universe like gives me this kind of rush of emotion, and this is like the culmination of that, because it's literally the theme of this entire episode is, hey, emotions are okay, like flaws are good, they are essential to your self-worth. And like that is just so empowering, and like seeing that come together like in this foreign place, so like the diamonds. So it executes its themes very well. All the fan service was great, and I think that it works in the stream of the story, and the ending is like, it's like montage stuff that like it feels great. And it's like, if the show ended here, I would be honestly, I would be totally happy, because like it does everything that I think a perfect Steven Universe episode does. I'm still happy that we're getting more, but like I have to work through what potential is there to go from here. But it definitely feels like I'm on top of a mountain right now in terms of like, this is the peak of Steven Universe.
I think the first reaction is that this episode ends like it's just a series finale structure. It's pretty classic with they mirror the end of the opening credits at the end of the end. We have like a montage of her singing.
They sing "Let Me Drive a Van to Your Heart." It's so many callbacks.
All this callbacks. Yeah, I definitely think this is like at one point at least it's like the possibility of this being a series finale, and the fact that it's not is kind of nuts, because we really just basically conclude, I think, the show with this, at least the main storylines we've been working on. This is a lot here in an hour, and the highlights, not that the first part, I guess, getting into the stuff with Yellow and Blue Diamond. Second part, we start getting all this fusion stuff and the ship Voltron stuff. I'm trying to like keep track of it all in my head so I can talk about it. So coming up here, the third part is this crazy stuff in White's head, and but just the one of the things that stands out to me is the like White style animation, like the White's head style animation,
the glowing
in part 3, of like the black and white, and then the different styles, and then it continues into the next part, and you get this moment of Steven being separated from his gem that I think is one of like the most anticipated potential things in the show. And I thought we started to bring that back a little bit in recent discussions, so that was good, and did not go how I was saying it might go, though. No Rose, no nothing. I think we conclude this big theme of like Steven being his mom, and that's like one of the big themes of it, and then we get like the White Diamond, and like we make White Diamond an off color, like kind of like through embarrassment. I just like and then it's this theme of just letting everyone be who they are, and then everything's okay, and then we go really fast to Earth, and White's there, and they heal all the corrupted gems. This is a lot. I think it's like potentially too much, but it's we're loving it, right? So definitely the big potential worry would be if we finish the White storyline too fast. But I want to break it down. I don't know yet. We gotta break down. We gotta see what we think about it, I think. So like that's my number one. I feel like White is on our side now. Is that what's happening at the end? White comes to Earth. We see like White outside of her head, and she's helping to fix all the corrupted gems. We get everyone back. Yes, we get Jasper, Centipedal, etc. back, and White smiles in a shot at the end. In terms of like the overall plot of the show, I think that's like the biggest thing. Is that we fully get Yellow and Blue on board, and then White is helping out at the end, and then you just go back to Homeworld. Like this is the. Well, Michelle, what happened? What's next? Like,
I mean, I guess the thing that kind of crossed my mind when this ship left this time is, well, one, Steven has his legs still, so he still has a way to get back to space if he needs to. But also, well, what's going to happen to all the Homeworld gems? Like, are they going to dismantle the entire society? Because that would be the next logical step. They can't just go back to business as usual, knowing what they know now. So that's a potential looming plot thing. But in terms of Beach City and the Earth, I think it's pretty well maintained as of now. And like you're saying, like it feels like a finale. I'd say like more reasonably, if the show's moving forward, this is like, it's closing the chapter it's been building to for 5 seasons. But that doesn't mean there aren't more chapters it can explore. So that's what I would say. I'm not sure what's coming next either, but I'd say keep an open mind. There could be more chapters to explore.
Yeah, it's an end to this first era one of the show, like as we were kind of talking about. But yeah, on one hand, it's like, okay, it's an end to era one. We can kind of wrap our heads around it. This is not how TV shows work. Like this, shows don't end end like part one of their story after 5 seasons. I don't.
Have you ever seen Supernatural?
Okay.
Yeah. Let me raise something here, because you're right that like shows would end with this, right? Like society has changed, a big moment, and the show ends and you're like, okay, well then happily ever after, right? But what this gives us the opportunity is finally seeing the aftermath of like, how does a society change from the dictatorship to like, hey guys, be free? Like what consequences come from that? Like diamonds are just going to allow fusions right and left now, and like people now no longer have roles. How do they deal with that and learning to accept the Earth style of, hey, you can be whatever you want when you've not lived that way for so long? Like that example. And also on Earth, we have all these healed gems that have been corrupted for thousands of years. They need to catch up. They're dealing with this new system now where they're simpaticos with the diamonds. So like that's also another thing that you can explore, and like them interacting with humans now that humans understand more what gem stuff kind of is. So like I think that there is potential for interesting stuff connected to this story that can continue on. But like it is a totally different mindset of, we end with the big event of the bit of change, of societal change, but now we also get to slow down and see, well, how does society change from the one pivotal moment?
We talk a lot about this feeling like a series finale. This honestly, I know we're much farther into a show. It reminds me the most of Korra season 3 finale, where something big has happened and then we're going to pick up after a major shift. There's a power vacuum of sorts now, where because Korra season 4 kind of gets into us a bit. You know, what do we do now? And the whole Kuvira arc, I think, is kind of a little bit of that, of what do we do after something's dismantled and what comes in and fills its place. I think we're starting to see, I think that's where we could go, because as Alex said, you know, we're going to have all these gems on Earth integrating into human society. Could we see maybe like a diamond sympathizer gem lead, like start a rebellion like on Earth of like the gems should have, you know, there's so much we can do now with the formerly corrupted gems. We could have one of them become a new villain, and it's more of like a political battle of the gems and the corrupted gems. There was a little hint in the way White was speaking of, I have to be this, I have to be this. Who says White has to be that way? You know, the oldest question in the book is, where did the diamonds come from? If we want to go bigger, that's the only direction left to go. I think we're going to go more lateral and go with the corrupted gems and how they're going to integrate, and potentially one of them not wanting to accept this change. But
there's a million things to explore.
They're there.
I think. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of there's a huge change we could. There's what's gonna happen on Homeworld, what's gonna happen on Earth. There's a million new gems there. Our gems have new like there's a lot of directions to go. Yeah. In terms of like this, like where we're concluding here. I think like my initial take is that this is like very focused on wrapping up the show thematically and with like some of these like random events, I guess, that we hadn't had. You know, like we get like the obsidian and these things that we've been, and Steven being separated, and like kind of these things that have been anticipated, I think, for a long time by fans, and just thematically wrapping up this Steven being his mom thing, and also just like White and Homeworld conformity and like break and you know, and individuality and emotions and all of that type of thing, I think, is what we get into with the White being off color here, and I want to talk more about that. But yeah, it's all but on the other end, it's like also fast, and it's like, okay, what's happening on Homeworld? Like but like, why is White acting this way? Like, yeah, like who made White? I mean, that wasn't a relevant question to this, but that's still my biggest question. Like who you know, so I think like I could see some people being you know, I don't know if it unsatisfied, but still like confused about you know, what really just happened. I think we're very theme and stuff focused, and I do think that kind of fits the show a lot. I think this is the way you kind of wrap up this part of the show. But yeah, I don't know. It's back to White here. Like what changes in White, and what is she now? Like, that's my question.
I would like to say I really appreciate this whole the tense sequence of White Diamond trying to convince Steven, like, no, like, you are Pink Diamond, you're repressing yourself. Like, it's deep within you, you know it. So it's like gaslighting him into like believing that he's something that he's really not. But because of the mental manipulation, she tries to get there, and it ends up being that White Diamond is the one who has convinced herself that she needs to be perfect for the rest of her society to function, when she knows that deep down she does have flaws, but she's internalized her idea of herself so much that it becomes something that she needs to maintain at all costs. So I love that kind of parallelism where like she is forcing Steven to act the same way that she has been acting for so long, even though really at the end of the day, they all do have flaws. It's just that White refuses to accept those flaws for so long until she realizes that her ideas of how things should be in taking Steven's gem out and seeing that it wasn't Pink Diamond after all, like that kind of like knocks her off, like, why am I internalizing these things that don't actually exist, sort of thing. So, and as you mentioned, like this whole thing is thematic in that sense. So while I agree with the people, I mean, I'm not agree, but like I understand the people who might say that it happened too fast, but I think thematically speaking, it makes sense, especially in that sequence of how the tables turn slowly towards Steven's side.
Yeah, I think the line that stood out to me most in terms of these themes that you're talking about it's something like, if you just let, Steven says, if you just let everyone be whoever they are, you can let you be who you are too, to White Diamond. Kind of getting at these themes that we're talking about. And yeah, the intersection of, like, who is Steven? Steven's like losing his sense of self, and he's being pulled to being his mom, and that's kind of thematically represented several times, I think, in the episode. In his dream in the beginning, he gets, like everyone, this arc, everyone's been calling him Pink, and then he gets his gem removed, and it's like, oh, it's going to be Rose, and like if it splits into two, it's going to be Rose, it's going to be Steven. No, Rose and Pink are gone. I think that's like very thematically satisfying. That to me is like the biggest twist of the episode, is like, no, Rose really is gone here. This is Steven. Steven is who he is. And I think that, is kind of the ultimate question of, answer to this arc that we've been on. And then, we're getting into White, with, White, like, goes on about color spectrums and about how she needs to be perfect for everyone. And she's like pointing out everyone's flaws. I guess the conclusion is that, White can be flawed and an individual, and who she really is as well. Steven like achieves this by like saying like with this elementary school insult of if I'm
what's your excuse?
Yeah,
I
what's
am
your
a child.
excuse? Yeah, that was I wasn't expecting that to be the main method of changing the mind here with what's your excuse? That was what do you think of that, Michelle?
I was pretty impressed. And like, I want to go back to kind of what Alex is saying, because I think it's easier to kind of think that, oh, well, clearly there's someone even bigger and more powerful forcing White Diamond to think this way. I think it's a lot more interesting to consider maybe she was the first gem around. She became a leader figure, and like through that, knowing she had to set an example, she internalized all of these ideas of what makes a perfect society, even though it inherently is actually a very problematic and flawed society, and created this ideal version herself. Because that means it could actually be like a lot harder for her to work through that and to confront the fact that, she had what she thought was best, but like it actually wasn't the best, and that's a hard thing to accept. So I really like that take. I want to believe that that's the truth instead of there being somebody even higher up, because I think that's kind of all it like has to take, just to be in a position where you feel like you have to set an example, and then doing your best and failing miserably and realizing that and being willing to change and be better. That's like a huge thing in of itself. So I think I would hope that that's kind of what they're going for.
Well, at the very least, that's what they're going for here. You can expand on it maybe in the future, but that's definitely, where they're not, this episode was not interested in answering higher questions, I guess, about, who's above Pink, and like, even really about Pink that much. Like, we're more interested in like who Pink is as a person, and like these themes of individuality and flaws and stuff like that. I guess one big aspect is White is I may have said Pink instead of White. White is turning everyone into like slaves of her, and does that with everyone around them, including the diamonds, the other two diamonds, very creepily. And that's kind of a big component of the white stylistic aesthetic we have going with the last half of the episode. I don't know, Justin, what do you think of the white, like that's the answer of why White Pearl is the way it is. And Pearl comes back too, the original Pink Pearl, I guess, is what we're going for there. Yeah, Justin, what do you think of all these white slaves and that being one of White's main powers?
Genuinely one of the most terrifying things I've seen in animation. Like
creepy puppets,
completely bloodless, but that just proves you don't have to have blood and guts to be terrifying, because when like the canted angles on the crystal gem, so like when they're like tilted to the side and all speaking with White's voice, is just I don't like it. And also now, what's Pink Pearl gonna do on Homeworld?
Yeah, that's the biggest question, right?
I mean, it's not the biggest question, but like, she's a pearl with no diamond. Like,
well, is White going to come back and institute a system of no pearls belonging to diamonds and stuff? You know, like
that's the question.
Yeah.
I need a spin off of the 3 pearls just hanging out.
Yes. Oh, Pearl can show them how to be their own gem. Be so good.
With regards to the creepiness aspect, I also want to point. I wasn't that creeped out by the turning them into puppets, but what I was creeped out when we see the segment of Pink Steven and Flesh Steven, and like Flesh Steven is like writhing in pain. Like that was hard to watch. So like I especially appreciate that scene. Like they really got across the pain that Steven was going through, and I found that the creepiest part of the episode.
Both very creepy.
And that split screen shot when we come back from the last commercial break, and it's half the screen is Steven's perspective, and then the other half becomes Gem Steven's perspective, and just because the whole show is from Steven's perspective. So what happens when there's 2 Stevens?
Yep. And
it was so good. It was such a great shot. Like that shot and the Steven Rose Pink shot from the like beginning. Those were my favorite shots of the whole episode. Just they're incredible.
Those really stand out. Yeah, I thought they might do the split screen for the rest of the episode at first. It was crazy. Like, what's going on? Oh, it's seeing it from both of the Stevens. It's Pink Steven. Yeah, this Steven separation, and then Pink Steven being like super powerful and like deflecting all of White's blasts, and also like really creepy, and like what's up with Pink Steven?
I was thinking about that a lot, because you notice Pink Steven doesn't start to have any emotions until he's really close to Flesh Steven. And I also think that that's kind of a thing with White Diamond too, because it seems like she doesn't show a lot of strong emotions, and she only started shutting down, I imagine, like Pink Pearl and Blue and Yellow when they were kind of, feeling passionately strong about something, which they don't normally do, at least not in front of her. So I feel like there is, and her blushing, like it came after like she got a diss and she was like, oh, like, well, and like, that elicited a strong emotional reaction in her, which she probably hasn't had in a really long time. And I think there's something about emotions that really plays into this whole thing.
Yeah, I think Pink is ultimately like the emotional side of the diamonds, and that's, I guess, who Steven, like, representing emotions and like actually affecting White. Breaking through to her is like injecting the sense of emotion into her, and I think that's a good overall theme for the show of Steven representing emotions and stuff. And
the Pink Steven deflecting all the white rays is the literal representation of love conquers all. Like that's like, you can't get more like hammer to nail than that.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and because this representation of Pink Steven, and then they fuse back, and it's first like, oh, is Steven a fusion? Like, is that how that works? We don't really get into that, because that's like what they definitely were going for. They do the whole dancing and happy and fuse thing. I thought that was really interesting too. And then it's not even it's like a drop in the bucket, right? Like. We could spend a long time talking about that. That's not even focused on. And then White. Yeah, is White an off color? Is that what being an off color is being like breaking from the code and having this sense of emotion and individuality into you?
Yes.
That's a good question.
That's kind of how they always said it. Well, because we first heard the term off color, I believe, from Peridot, who talked about anyone who doesn't fit into their place is an off color. So anyone who doesn't fit their role. And if White Diamond gave herself the role of perfect, flawless being, then by showing emotion, she is now an off color by her own definition.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's and then just Steven says you have to leave your own head first, and then another kind of big metaphor here, and then going back to Earth very quickly. Let's go through all the Earth stuff at the end. The Sadie Killer's performance at the end, and the Voltron ship comes right down on top of it, and all the diamonds jump out. Very weird seeing White Diamond on Earth walking around and stuff.
I know, and she's so uncomfortable. like she's trying to smile, but she's like doesn't know what to do.
Yeah. The Lars
was Onion at the concert?
I assume so.
Probably. It seemed like everyone on the Beach City was there.
Yeah, Ronaldo was flabbergasted.
Because if Onion looks different, then
okay.
Come on, it's the season finale. You have to spend 5 seconds on it.
Lars of the Off Colors are home too. I don't know if they like grabbed them or they just happened to come home at the same time.
They just happened to get the fact that they got home at the same time, but didn't notice the diamond ship arriving.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
Maybe they flew from the other direction.
Are there a lot of giant space people?
Yeah, they just thought it was someone else. Yeah. Lars and Sadie reunion, the space pirate and the rock star. That's what they are now.
Yes.
The Rhodonite comic timing was perfect. It's like, yay, we're finally free from the Diamond Authority.
Yeah.
And then they see Diamond's like, well, we're cracked.
Pat Parasha at her finest.
Yeah, that was so good. He doesn't know what he's
doing.
Glad we had to work in multiple Pat Parasha same jokes into the ending here. Yeah,
just enough Pat Parasha, just enough.
She did good this time. I liked him. I laughed.
Her last one I thought was pretty. That was kind of helpful.
White Diamond being frightened of Pat Parasha's outburst like a scared cat, like an elephant being scared of a mouse.
Aww,
she doesn't know what anything is anymore. Her world doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
No wonder she's jumpy.
Steven's singing the theme song, and they get this montage of the diamonds going to heal all the corrupted gems. They see the fountain. What pool are they in? Putting
Rose's fountain.
It's Rose's fountain. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we get all the bubble gems from the temple, and you get Centipedal back, Justin.
Her name is Nephrite, and I think that we should use her true name, not the name given to her by someone else. Thank you very much.
I'll get back to that in a second. I agree with this theme. Jasper's back. Yeah, Jasper's horns now.
They all maintain a little bit of their corruption.
Yeah, I kind of like that because it's like, they've been through some stuff. You don't just wipe that off and continue your daily life. It'll leave scars on you. I appreciated that detail.
Bismuth cries as she jumps after Biggs because
she loves
a wonderful relationship. And also Garnet is crying and Pearl is hugging because they finally get all their friends back. Like that, just all the little details of that scene are great.
Jasper and Amethyst.
Jasper, her hand shoulder, and she's like, "We're corpses together." Like
Jasper sinking into the pool.
Michelle, is that the ship? Is that the ship?
No, it's not the ship. They're sisters. But it was so I we're like, Steven gonna punch his face. Wait, like everyone. Oh, the diamonds are here. Okay, I'll just stay.
It's not like Jasper's good now. She's just behaving for the diamonds.
There's another plot line we can pursue for season whatever. Jasper redemption.
Please.
Grumpy Jasper.
We finally ran out of things to do, so let's just handle Jasper already.
I'm so glad she was featured. That was like honestly one of my top 5 things I wanted to see. It's so good. I'm so happy now.
Would not have cracked my top 100. The Cartoon Network bingo, putting the Jasper coming back in every 10 times in a row, and then finally it happens. Pretty troll. That was planned out, right? The Jasper finally revived here. The white smiles, I thought that's one of the iconic shots here at the end, and then the diamonds take off. The pink legs are still there though, sitting on the temple. Yeah.
So he can go back to space if he needs to.
I believe the homeworld ships give the peace sign as they leave, which
Yes,
was
they do.
an interesting touch.
Do it.
Yeah,
Is the
interesting
next-
touch.
Is the next season just going to be spreading cheer to all the former colonies and freeing
Right, we
them
could
all?
visit all the colonies. Yeah,
Is it
too.
Voltron
It's
time?
Voltron now. Wow.
Yeah.
Voltron's gone, so the show
No.
becomes Voltron. We hope not, but yeah, it's
We have about as many characters as Voltron now.
yeah. We have all these random aliens on Earth. That's good. That's just like Voltron turned. Yeah, that's true. Steven at the end is playing "Change Your Mind," new song,
New
and
song.
More like a jingle, really.
jingle. Yeah.
Yeah, let's really define it.
And it
It's,
mirrors
fun.
the theme song, and it's like this is why they never changed the theme song after they changed it, right? Because they still had to get there. They'd mirror it finally. Connie gets her sword.
that new sword.
Own sword. That's a highlight. She finally
Yeah.
gets her own sword.
Her own sword. Yeah. Okay, let's go. Okay, we'll work there. Part 3. So, well, do we even hit on everything from part 4? I don't even know. It's the shot of Steven and Pink Steven fusing like right in front of White. That was like iconic too.
It was a beautiful shot because it was very smooth of them dancing, and like the camera panned towards White's face, like as if it was like a real camera sort of thing. So I love that they gave this finale like all the detail they needed, and especially in that shot, like it stood out like just in terms of animation. This was a lot higher quality than like I would have expected, but like it was really great. Like when they save it for like those important moments.
Well, I mean, they had 12 storyboard artists on this episode. Like usually they have like 2 per 11 minutes. This would have been 3 per 11 minutes if you want to break it down like that. They had the extra people power to really make sure that this episode shone through, and it did.
Yeah.
Big guns.
Yeah. Rebecca
Literally
Sugar,
everyone, not everybody, but everybody.
A bunch of them.
I think the animation stands out to me probably the most in this part 4, just extremely like fluid and cinematic in a way that is distinctive from the rest of the shows. Just a lot of like insane shots and movements, and like just definitely want to go back and look at everything in this part 4 here. And then the part 3 as well, with everything with the in the White Diamond's head animation, I think was really fantastic as well. Towards the end of this, controlling the diamonds. White's talking about how every color is part of my light, and it's a part of me that I have to repress. Oh yeah, so there you go. Themes of repression as well. She talks about that. Deficiencies. She's like highlighting the flaws of each of the crystal gems: insecure, dependent, and obsessed.
She can peg them all pretty quickly. That's a real talent she has at throwing shade.
I think
she knows all.
Tea today.
Yeah, tea. Yeah, she spilled the tea quite a bit.
She spilled the tea all over the crystal gems.
all over them. Yeah, removed their flaws by making their white. Nothing to hinder my white light. Now they're brilliant. Now they're perfect. Now they're me. It's talk. Yeah, Connie gets in there. Then this whole thing of like you're deceiving yourself. Don't you know things you couldn't possibly know? And flash cut to a lot of stuff that Steven's experienced. I guess like what truth was there to that, right? Because then it's separates, and then it's removes Steven's gem, but then it's still Steven. So I guess the point is that he does know Rose's stuff, but it's still him.
You could even. Oh, go ahead.
Well, like, and that Pink Diamond, like, sincerely changed in a way. Like,
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, like, White Diamond expects Pink Diamond to always be Pink Diamond, but like Pink Diamond, the reason that she left and became Rose Quartz and then eventually decided to become Steven was because she always had the desire to change, to be better, and find ways to be better. Whereas the White Diamond, her idea is, no, you're already perfect. Stay the way you are in your role, and you will be perfect. So it's just that struggle. That's why White Diamond does not comprehend that when Pink Steven shows up, it's like, no, you have to be Pink Diamond. Like that's that's my worldview. That's how things are supposed to be. And finally breaking that out is what moves the whole story of like her finally realizing that she doesn't have to. think like that, but it's because she finally sees that Pink Diamond did change. She was capable of that, after all.
And nothing says that clearer than the visual representation of the pink gem, like going through being Pink Diamond, being Rose Quartz, and then choosing a Steven shape. Like that nails it. If it's going to stay Steven, it's going to stay Steven. It doesn't matter if you separate it from the flesh Steven. We're made
not
that
gonna
choice
keep saying
visually.
flesh Steven.
Well, what do you want to call him?
Stop. We are
That's
going to
what
call
he
him Human
is.
Steven. We can call him Human Steven. We can call him regular Steven. We can call him like
All
Gemless
right.
Steven.
But he's
Whatever
not
you
picking
want.
himself without that gem. So let's just say
Um,
that the tired Steven. How about that?
How about
He's simply
Gemless Steven?
tired.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. But the thing
Gemless is not a word.
when you
It
pull
is
the
a
gem
word.
out, like Alex is saying, when you pull the gem out, it goes through all the transformations of its forms and it chooses a Steven shape itself. So that is its conscious decision, its mind. It has visibly shown you that it's going to stay Steven forever. So I think that's pretty powerful too.
That's yeah, I like that. Yeah. Getting into we've been talking about this, but I think like one of the big things with White is as we just mentioned, White it's like we thought like White is omniscient. We thought White would know that Steven is like understand what White genuinely didn't understand what Steven was, right? Like that was like it was like shattered her worldview, and that's a big reason why I think she changes at the end, because it's not like she's some omniscient manipulative dictator. She really was didn't understand how things worked, and was like genuinely shocked that Pink could have changed and that Steven is his own person. So I guess that's like part of why the embarrassed Pink representation is at the end is just literally breaking out of this stagnant place that you've been in, and certainly a lot of thematic parallels and representations there of stuff in our world.
And it's built up from the beginning of because the beginning of the episode begins with trying to convince Blue and Yellow, like once and for all, like I am Steven, right? And like eventually they figure it out, but we also see like them breaking down, and it's a lot quicker, but because they do have some sense of emotion in them, whereas White, it becomes a lot more difficult because she has elevated herself to a point where it refuses to feel emotion, and that makes it a lot tougher to get through to her, and that's why it feels a lot more tense once we get to White. But it feels like a natural building up of obstacles. First Blue, because she's the most emotional, then Yellow because she's a bit hardened, but we do know that she is capable of other emotions like anger and things like that. But then we get to White, who so far we had not seen emotion until this ending sequence.
Yeah, I find it really interesting that we didn't go the direction of White being some some calculating type scheming type villain. Like like White is the ignorant but bringing people into their like ignorance, like White is really flawed. That was like a big point of the end. White is really flawed, but it's not some like it is like gaslighting and some scheming in her own right, but she was a victim of like her own thing. Like that feels very the show, like she also was being repressed and not being her true self, and she can be a better person too, is kind of like what we get. Like it seems like we're gonna forgive White here. Seems like we have her heal everyone, and trusting her to do the right thing when they get back. But it feels very Steven Universe, I think.
Yeah, I'd say like trusting her to do better and to fix the things. I mean, fixing all the corrupted gems is like step one, right? Dismantling the homeworld hierarchy is step two. But I mean, I don't want to like throw around the word forgive, because I do think that like we expect her to do better and for the diamonds to consciously try to do better, but it's not like we can wash our hands of everything that's happened, right? They were a literal dictator, so it's like a hard gray line to just, but like I don't know, I certainly don't forgive them, and I don't think you have to forgive them to wish for their improvement and to be happy that they are taking steps to change everything that has been, a huge problem up to this point.
Yeah, this episode doesn't get into the forgiveness aspect so
right.
much. It doesn't
rightly
posit that question.
So, probably, because it is still like Yeah, it's hard when you're a kid show.
But you better get ready for the discourse of, oh, they got a happy ending. That means the show forgave them and then redeemed them, and then we're gonna deal with Diamond Dictator Redemption, blah blah blah. But
yeah, I'd expect considering it isn't the series, so I'd expect future arcs to get into this. I think
one would hope, right? Because especially if we have left the ability to go to Homeworld, so we can check on their progress and presumably see like, hey, they need help in breaking through certain prejudices or certain things that like, because obviously this is a large scale thing of, hey, feel emotion, right? Like allow people to be themselves, but it's we settle that in this one room, but then the Diamonds have to go back and deal with an entire society and trying to keep themselves from going back into their old ways. So there's definitely potential there to dig further into smaller parts of their personalities that need to be corrected over time, and help us to see a fuller change in their demeanor.
Yeah, I was talking about leading up to this in the Diamond Days episodes, this question of, like this Aang versus Ozai at the end of Avatar question, like, will Steven kill White Diamond? And this show's answer to this, I do think it kind of like roundabout is this whole thing is kind of about this facing off against the big bad. This show's answer is, you don't kill White Diamond, you don't not talk to White Diamond, you help White Diamond solve what's bothering her, right? Like you help, you bring her into the light. Like she's screwed up too. And like, it's like, yeah, of course that's Steven Universe's answer to that question. Whether you like that or not, like that's, I think it fits with the show a ton. And I do think it was kind of presented really brilliantly.
So is Steven beating White Diamond by embarrassing her this show's equivalent to, no, Fire Lord Ozai, you're not wearing pants?
Yes,
oh man. Yes, it is. Thank you for that, Justin.
You're welcome.
It certainly feels more thematically complex than taking away the bending, or to a certain, at least more emotionally and psychologically complex.
And it's more ambitious because it's instead of just like throwing her in a jail and being like, okay, done with you, bye. It's like, no, you're gonna actively repair the damage you have wrought for thousands of years. I think in that sense, like it's kind of wonderful to think that kind of thing could happen. That someone who actually caused so much trouble could actually help you rebuild something instead of just like throwing them away and being like, oh, you suck. You can't do that with everyone, but like I like it as a message. I think that's actually really great. It's like the extra mile, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I definitely struggle with this worldview and fitting it into the way our world works. I think there's gonna be a lot of people that and it's gonna be like, oh, get ready for this, you crit post. Like, but there's also like legitimate commentary to be had about whether this is the message to be sending out into the world, but
yeah.
But like it is like obviously like a very valid and message, very optimistic view of the world. I think it's like a great thing to put forth. Realistic. I don't know, but it's fascinating, and I definitely want to like go back and watch several times like how they're presenting this and what the result is, how they're going to follow up on this to come, because we do get that's the I think fantastic part about this not being the finale. We get the follow up, we get the more complex themes, and seeing what it's not just like they can just wipe their hands of like, okay, we fixed White Diamond and she's gonna be good. Like we have to now we get to see like what that means. Like this show had a very optimistic view of bringing her into the light and stuff, and now what's the result? And I think that's really interesting. Probably maybe the thing I'm looking forward to most to come with this show.
Well, thanks to space time, we can easily time skip on Homeworld, and so we get to see not a week later of, oh, we're making progress, but like 5-10 years in Homeworld time of like what's happened. We can use space travel, time dilation, what have you, to accelerate. Jump in later. Is White still good? Is White backsliding? Like, what's going on? I'm not saying that we have to, but I'm saying this show has the unique ability to do that.
I think we've kind of thrown that away though, with like them coming back to Earth and almost nothing has changed
because they warped with the legs. But if they're like, let's take a nice leisurely walk to Homeworld, then let's take Space Vacation since Steven's traumatized.
Yeah, we'll see. It's possible, I guess. I could see just a time skip on Earth happening before season 6. I could see. Yeah. I was sure. I don't know if we're going to get into the logistics of
hashtag Teenage Onion.
Of talk. Okay.
Teen Onion.
Why are you bringing Onion into my finale podcast, Justin? Onion wasn't in this episode. Don't bring Onion into this.
I'm sorry, your finale podcast?
Yeah, I'm running this.
It belongs to the people.
Well, look, Justin, you're gonna have your feedback podcast. Like, accept all the Onion ass.
Yeah, that's for the feedback. That's Justin.
There you go.
I called you Steven. Dylan, if you let me be me, you can be yourself.
Okay. Yeah, my true self is
Don't turn into White Diamond,
okay?
Dylan.
But is it safe to let Onion be Onion, though? Like, I think we should stop Onion from being
I'm letting Onion
the
be
scariest stuff he does is maybe set things on fire and eat mice. That's not, like, super bad.
Okay, can we pivot this discussion to the Ronaldo being shocked?
No, talk about Ronaldo's even an Onion, how dare you?
Okay, no. I'm really proud of this show for being restrained and not focusing on Ronaldo more for than a second, because they had been so tempted to show all of his reaction to the diamonds and stuff. Like, thank you for not doing that. Okay.
It's nice and minimal, yes.
It's what?
It was nice and minimal, yes. The use of Ronaldo.
Yes, which the show's not been previous, but okay.
Yeah.
But rest of part 3 of the finale. Now we'll start to speed the Obsidian. This is when's the temple? When are we gonna get the temple? This has been maybe one of the number one things. Michelle, what was your reaction to finally seeing Obsidian here?
Freaked out. Well, when Steven started fusing, like when he fused with Pearl, I freaked out. When he fused with Garnet, I freaked out even more. And then when they all started dancing, I was like losing my mind. I was screaming so loud. I probably scared people. But it was just, we'd want to see this from like episode 1. The minute we saw, well, actually, that's a lie. We want to see it since Giant Woman. Once we knew fusion was on the table, it was like, well, clearly that thing with like a million arms is all of them. So when is that going to happen? Like, that's been on the back burner for so many years. So I was super hyped. Plus, they make like a lava sword that is it's like the coolest weapon ever. It's so good. Okay, I was very impressed.
That fire sword is just a Voltron move, is it not? So like, isn't in Voltron they pull the sword of fire out of the lion's mouth?
What? This is a cool show with its own cool sword. Is the Steven sword. It's not Voltron. Get that out of here. And
they're literally fighting a Voltron in this scene. They're fighting a white torso with legs.
He forges the sword. Obsidian forges the sword into her mouth, right? And then like takes it out. Like,
so cool.
That's at least different, but yeah, it's very Voltron.
We're talking about it. The sword's just cool. Just admit it.
That was the coolest
cool.
thing.
There's no denying
that. Justin, Obsidian.
Yes.
Yes.
Alex. No, we've been waiting so very, very long for the temple fusion, and this is cool. And it makes me wonder now, why is the temple modeled after Obsidian? Did Obsidian forge the temple with her fire mouth? Like, probably. And just the whole, or did like ancient humans worship Obsidian? Ooh. The point is, it's all so cool, and I love Obsidian's design so much. And the music when Obsidian is climbing the Voltron-esque diamond statue was so Shadow of the Colossus, it's not even funny. Like, I heard violins, and it was amazing. The whole thing was so great. More Obsidian, more all the new fusions, just all of them. I love it. Yes.
Alex.
Yeah, I think Michelle makes a good point in mentioning that this is the culmination of like several fusion sequences. Like we got Smoky Quartz, you get the new Garnet fusion, you get the new Pearl fusion, and then you get Obsidian. So it's like a ramping up, like whoa, wow, and then like it's all at once. The Obsidian is a walking statue. It is great. Their fusion dance is very nice. I especially love what in the middle of fusing, their arms like slowly pass by the screen as if they're like synchronized swimmers. Like that each arm like keeps passing by and like different arms before they finally like become the fusion. So I really love that. And then there's the comic timing of Peridot being like, "Wow, she's so huge," and then she barely reaches Pink's knee, the ship's knee.
Yes.
It's like
so funny.
So yeah, Obsidian was great, but that entire sequence is just again like this entire episode, like it's building from the smaller to the bigger, building tension, then the final showdown. And in the micro of this segment, also you begin with like the fusion to a new fusion that you were anticipating to this giant fusion. So like it's just the pacing was perfect in the, especially even if you focus in just that one segment.
Yeah, we really ramp up. And this, we get like the epic music and the Obsidian culmination. It's not even, we're not even at the climax of everything. It's crazy. Other things after Obsidian is, Peridot, some good Peridot lines with, Peridot's return to Homeworld as your savior. And then, Peridot.
I rule the skies!
Yeah, and saves Bismuth with, her psychic powers. That's a good, culmination to that arc, is Peridot uses them there. Previous to that, I want to talk about Sunstone, I think is the highlight for me of the new fusions, but we'll talk about all of them. But, Sunstone is talking to the camera and, talking to the kids at home and telling them not to talk to adults if they have to confront a bully. And,
kind of like Sardonyx, because Sardonyx is also meta, and so like I think it's just Garnet because she has the sapphire thing going on, so that like adds an extra layer to it. And so like with Pearl, it's like a game show host, and since it's now Garnet with Steven as like a kid, so now it's like a cartoon character person, but because it's Garnet involved, so the meta thing is similar between Sunstone and Sardonyx.
Yeah, somehow even more meta than Sardonyx. That Sardonyx episode is pretty meta too. It's just breaking the fourth wall. We add that to the list of things we're doing here in the finale. Sunstone very strong, lifting the foot off of after getting crushed in between parts 2 and 3, lifting the leg off, and very, very interesting fusion, I thought. And yeah, we get Steven fusing with everyone here. Getting into part 2, we got Rainbow Quartz 2.0, yes, with the
yes. I loved them. Oh wow, I was not expecting, because that's another thing fans were like, if they fuse, is it going to be the same as Rainbow Quartz when Rose did it? It is not, but it's just as good, just as appealing.
Don't get me wrong, Leg Warmers 80s Rainbow Quartz is still the love of my life, but Rainbow Quartz 2.0 can take their place, and they can both just hold me and tell me I'm special.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Fantastic there. And then
they have like umbrella powers, like really diving into the Mary Poppins-ness of it. It's great.
Yeah. The concept being Steven pulling them out of reforming them through fusion, Smoky Quartz as well. And then once they separate, then we get all the new outfits. Pearls is particularly excited about her jacket. That's what she said.
Pearl has 80s shoulder pads.
Pearl looks so good. And with this little cut-off shorts.
Michelle, we predicted the umbrella way back on one of our feedback episodes.
I remember that one.
Someone said that we were talking about fusion weapons, and I can't remember if it was a comment or one of us brought it up, but we said Steven and Pearl would have an umbrella because the shield on the spear. We got it right!
Hey! 2 years later.
No one remembers that.
Go listen at overlyanimated.com or search on Overly Animated on iTunes or your favorite podcast.
Look, check out our archive of 150 Steven Universe podcasts. Yeah, you'll probably find us predicting some stuff.
Predicting a lot of stuff, actually.
5% accurate, probably, right?
Who was right about Centipedal, Dylan?
Oh yeah. This episode, you're right about Centipedal.
I was right about Centipedal a long time ago. Who was right about Christina Eversole?
This is all. Yeah, you listed along with Beyonce as one of the options to voice White Diamond.
And Paris Hilton.
Okay. All the fusions, fantastic. All the new outfits, and I guess that's what we're doing now. Lapis and Peridot's new outfits.
Yes, Lapis has sweatpants. Lapis having sweatpants is so perfect for her character.
I know. The pants.
Where am I gonna put the star?
She figured it out.
That's what took her so long. She's like,
Yeah.
do I put it? And she
It's-
copied Amethyst knee stars.
Oh, okay.
Aw.
We gotta look at that in more detail. The competing Amethyst ship. Jasper, right? Michelle said she was shipping it, right? No, just kidding.
No, Amethyst.
Oh my
sisters.
God.
Okay.
Yeah, they're sisters apparently. I'm trying to. Okay, let's go through the rest of this part 2 here. There's a lot of stuff. All the Voltron stuff here. Even more Voltron. Like we get the.
Oh my God! Do we just let this show be its own beautiful thing right now?
No, of the ships form Voltron. I'm not saying it's Voltron. I'm saying they formed a Voltron by all of them combining. That's like the
Or
term.
it could
I
be a
guess.
Megazord if we want to go Power
Or could it be a
Rangers.
Power Rangers? Yeah,
Sure, they
hello.
Power Rangers.
To have a monopoly on the ship thing, Dylan.
Ship.
Shipping is something else. We'll indulge Justin and call it Power Rangersing.
Yay!
We get the ship Power Rangers finally. Like everyone called it Voltron. Come on, it's coming together. All the different ones. And then the arms are controlled by Bismuth are fighting the White Diamond, controlling the legs and her torso and head. Crazy stuff. Only part 2 too. But yeah, that was some nuts stuff. And then everyone's trying to talk to White Diamond when she's in the Voltron ship and the Power Ranger ship, and you get shots of like them talking to the Behemoth ship. And then all the Diamonds try talking. And then she responds by turning them into the white zombies. Initially it's like, go to your room, she says, communicating through White Pearl at the beginning of the segment too. I thought that's also pretty good. There you go. Let's get part 1 stuff. The dream in the beginning with, you think it's what's happening, and you get the deja blue, as I think Steven says, with the shot of Steven and Rose and Pink Diamond. If this keeps up, she's going to take away your pearl, which I guess she was saying originally to Pink, right? And that's the precursor for the pink pearl.
Mm-hmm.
With this rainbow caterpillar in the beginning, that's nuts, right? Let's spend 10 minutes on that.
That was just like in the dream sequence, though, technically, right?
Yeah, so it could have not been a thing, but also part of the dream happens in the past. It's like a flashback / dream.
Yeah, like maybe it's just that Pink
Flashback
Diamond.
/ dream.
Well, like Pink Diamond maybe used to have pets too, and like that's kind of the because in the middle of the sequence, like he begins as Steven, but then he looks down and sees his Pink Diamond. So I'm guessing the Worm Gem is also like a continuation of that, where like that was something that Pink Diamond and just hung around sometimes.
Yeah, I
don't know about that worm. Like, I don't know what to say about it. It's there. I don't know what it means.
We have to discuss it now. I think this is the precursor to later the White saying like you know things you shouldn't, right? So that was the flashback stuff. Steven and Connie are talking to Blue Diamond and when they're in jail. Connie, you think I've never been grounded before? A lot of good Connie with the Connie sword too.
Yeah, Connie was really good.
Bismuth giving Connie a sword. Bismuth making a lot of stuff here. With the
presumably she repaired both of the ships herself too. Like that's a lot of work in a very short amount of time.
Although Peridot is reformed, so Peridot could have helped.
Yeah, I thought Peridot
could have helped lift the metal. Yeah,
lift the metal. She's an engineer.
Piece, and then Bismuth would like hammer it together on the ship. So they're like a tag team.
Yeah, Peridot makes the plans, and Bismuth is like executing on them.
Yeah.
Then we get into we're trying to. This is like the part where we're convincing Blue and Loving Family doesn't lock each other up. There's Blue's energy balls. That was a thing too. How many times did you lock her in here? How many times do you make her cry? And Blue is like, this is why you left, isn't it? If you were happy on Earth, maybe this world is failing you. Then Blue decides to try to help have Steven escape, and then the Blue versus Yellow fighting in part 1 as well. Yellow's like lightning Blue. Here's the line. So Blue to Yellow. She prefers to be called Steven. Is one of those lines. Then Blue and she first called Steven. Blue and Yellow are fighting. Yellow's lightning Blue, pretty shocking there. Steven stepping in. We get if every perk chop were perfect. Callback here. Blue's, yeah, and we kind of convince Yellow here, and Blue's and Yellow's crying. Why are you using your power on me, Blue?
There was also a setup here. We're setting up the eventual conversation Steven is going to have with White, because Yellow's like, if we bend the rules for Pink, then we have to bend them for everyone. And it's like setting up this thing of like, well, we have to maintain perfection, because if we let one go off, then the entire system falls apart. And that's always been their fear, and why, like in the case of Yellow, like she holds on very much, and then White ends up doing that. But it's because of that, like Pink was always the one who just wanted to better herself, and it's not, this little segment here is like kind of a smaller scale version of the conversation that has to happen at the end of the episode too.
Yeah, definitely a lot of legwork here set up for legs for what's to come at the end. And the random other things, the yellow lightning is causing them to not reform for a while. And then the yellow's on board helping, and then White Pearl comes down, and we get like the head moving onto the legs. Which is pretty crazy too. Okay, I was quickly going through everything here. There's obviously a lot, and there's going to be stuff we haven't hit on. But let's anything else or final thoughts? Michelle, anything you can think of we didn't cover here?
Probably, but we got all the most important things. It made me sad to see Yellow fighting Blue. It wasn't even the most traumatic thing that happened. I mean, what happened to Steven was way more traumatic, but it still like made me kind of sad. I guess that's a closing thought.
That's a good closing
thought.
Okay. Justin.
We missed this, but it was a little touch in the corrupted gem fountain pool scene. The sun and moon beetle being uncorrupted was so precious. This episode had so many little references, and that was one of my favorites. Of just like, don't worry, guys, we remember the fact that Pearl like had them in the little thing, like they were never bubbled; they were together in the little like bug catching box together, and they got that was such a sweet little moment.
Yeah, since Giant Woman, that's also been like a long thing, a long con. Finally paid off.
No idea what you're talking about. I'll look for that.
Wow.
None of what you said.
Beetle. They went to get the that was in Giant Woman. Yeah.
That
was an iconic episode.
Yeah, that was like that was when we learned about fusing. Oh my god, Dylan.
Okay, I'll go rewatch Giant Woman again.
Good. It's a good episode.
Wow. You turn into.
Yeah. So disappointing not remembering. Oh yeah, I guess all the callbacks. Yep. As we talked about. One thing I just remembered was the Pearl. There's like a shot of like Connie's face with like something over it. I feel like at that. I want to go back and look for that. I think it was in part 3. I think there was. I expected that to like continue some effect there. I'm gonna look back for that. A lot of animation touches. I definitely want to look back on. Alex, anything?
Praise goes to Rainbow Quartz 2.0 and Sunstone's new voice actresses. Alistair James voices Rainbow Quartz 2.0. She gets the
out.
The AV. I had to go to AV Club because Cartoon Network did not air the credits after the episode, so I must go to review. But Alistair James did a good British accent with it, and Shaniqua Shandai voices Sunstone, and I think that she got that tone pretty well. Like, hey guys, what's up? But so all the fusions are great. I wooed at Lapis and Peridot. I hope that they. We always say I hope they get more screen time and then they disappear for like half a season. But I hope that now that they're reformed, they get to be happy around other gems for once. And like the Steven Universe, just like the optimistic ray of sunshine down to the very end. Even as Steven's life is in peril, we end up in a happier place. So yeah, Steven Universe is pretty great. And even if it's not until like to the fall that we see him again, but it's a nice feeling to have while it lasts. We'll see how long it lasts.
The high from the watching it.
Yeah.
At least we know how long we're on hiatus until fall.
Yeah, I'm really glad that they told you when to expect the movie to come out. That was good.
Okay,
People.
Michelle. Yeah.
Oh, I thought of another thing. So this is also kind of like a small thing, but so I've been wondering how Lars and Sadie like meeting up again was going to go for a while, and they've been like kind of shipped by the show and also aggressively by Steven for a while now. So I was wondering. And I actually think it's really perfect the way they handled it, because they come back, they realize that that each other's like kind of been having all these like experiences and becoming more themselves in these very different directions while they've been away, and they meet up, and it's not like they like make out or anything, just like, oh wow, like, okay, I'm gonna go back to my concert thing, and like, good job being a space captain. And it's just it's like a nice checking in and also realizing how far they've both grown in this amount of time. And I really liked that. I'm glad it wasn't more. I like they just kept it in terms of we've both grown so much as people and we're becoming more of like our fully actualized selves. And we support each other doing that. And we're going to keep doing our thing. And maybe we'll get together. Maybe not. That's not what's important. It's just like recognizing each other's growth and journey. And I think that was a really good idea. It made me happy.
It made me happy. A review of Lars and Sadie. Okay.
I was just impressed with like, hey, we're doing like a quote series finale. Like, if this was a series finale, we give like 2 of the final 4 minutes to Lars and Sadie.
Yeah, I know,
like,
right?
Like that would have been a very bold move if this was actually a series finale.
I think it was that long,
Lars and Sadie.
Yeah.
It felt like a while.
They gave them a moment. That means something. Yeah.
Another thing that just came up to me: White Diamond's eye, the ship eyes. We have not really talked about that, but when the eyes open up wide as they're talking is very creepy. And then the revelation that they can enter through the eyes is also something that came a little bit by surprise. But yeah, just the design of the White Diamond eyes, like just being wide open throughout like segments 2 and 3, helps the ship to look even more creepy than it already does. So that was a very good decision by them. And also in that segment where Steven is falling with the gems, like he uses his shield as like a sled along the crystal veins. I really like that segment of animation as well. I think Jeff Liu and Mickey Brewster said that they were in charge of the third segment, which I think was that one, and they did add that Mickey Brewster has done very well with action sequences in this show, and I think that was a great part to give her and that team. So just I've complained a little bit about action in other shows, but for some reason Steven Universe's action sequences always hit with me, and I especially like that part of like Steven falling and eventually getting with all the gems fusing midair stuff.
Yeah, I agree that was everything with the falling, I think, was really distinctive. Yeah, I guess I didn't talk much about evaluation just because we're like trying to process everything, and I'll definitely need to watch a few more times to understand. But I think especially these kind of like Reunited, I have a hard time evaluating too. Just a lot of plot stuff happening episodes, but at the very least, I think like this episode contains some of the most distinctive and standout animation in like the time we've been doing this podcast. Like like parts 3 and 4 of this are stunning and things I'm going to go back and watch a lot of times, and just some of the most carefully made distinctive visually stunning sequences that we've ever seen, I think, in probably animation history. Things getting better as they go along, and it's a remarkable feat, I think, this finale here. The one I'm looking forward to revisiting, both just watching it and many times on the podcast. So let us know what you thought, because we will be incorporating this into how many podcasts we'll have. At the very least, Justin will at some point be taking your questions on this, and leave those on the YouTube video at youtube.com/overlyanimated, or on our website at overlyanimated.com. Click on the article for this. You can email us at podcast@overlyanimated.com your thoughts. You can come to our Discord to talk about this at overlyanimated.com/discord. But haven't not caught up on all these Discord posts about this. A lot of stuff, a lot of reactions to this. So we'll see what people are saying. And you can support us via Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to all our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Ryan, aka Brian, and thanks as always to our patron executive producers, John Ryan, Steve, Alex, and Hugh. More Steven Universe coverage of this to come, and into the off season here, the potential 9-month type off season, normal for the show, but all looking forward to the huge movie that will become presumably before season 6, although still not really confirmed that's how that's ordered. And that's our assumption. Check out other coverage at overlyanimated.com. Young Justice Outsiders regular coverage, Ruby heading into the finale this weekend, The Promised Neverland, a new anime we're covering here. Also She-Ra and the Princess Power, getting some topic discussions going on that. And yes, we'll continue Steven Universe podcast on this big Change Your Mind event for a little while to come. So thanks everyone for listening. Made it through it, got to all of it here, and we will see you next time. Bye.
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 Toodaloo!